Hello everyone, Hawky here, back with another Sword of Convallaria video. So with the Series 3 tarots dropping, how good are they? Who are they good for? I think is one of the biggest questions you guys have, so let's go through them. So we have first one, Murmur of Death, increasing piercing damage by 8%, additionally increases piercing damage by 5% when attacking dying enemies, additionally increases piercing damage by another 5%. So with that fourth special stat, you're looking at 13% piercing damage, and that can push all the way to 18% against dying enemies. So we have units like Shakalulu, she has a piercing damage in her kit here. Agatha can also use this, she has piercing damage as part of her trait. But with Agatha, I usually would prefer her to have like a Fool's Tarot with some HP. Paris also has piercing damage in her total punishment, but this is not really a large part of her kit, right? And it is pretty good on Kavara because he does have his piercing damage for This Is the Moment for Rain, as well as on the roster, 100% of Kavara's magic attack as piercing damage. So that is another option for Kavara. And this piercing increase also applies to Roaring Flint, Arm Guard, they all do piercing damage here. And for weapons, so we've got the Skeleton Spear, which does piercing damage, and we also have, my inventory is a mess, Star Raid Crossbow, which also does piercing damage here. Eucerine, who is coming in later, does also do piercing damage as part of her kit. So she can also make use of Murmur of Death. But the unit who really makes most of piercing damage is SP Mither, full armored Mither, right? So piercing damage, 50% of physical attack and magic attack to all enemies. Piercing damage equal to 80% of physical attack. She does have a lot of piercing damage skills there. So honestly, Murmur of Death is pretty mid, right? There's not really any like full piercing unit except for SP Mither. And those who do piercing damage quite well, like Kavare, can also use the next one, Hangman's Dedication. Increases dot effect by 8%, additionally increases dot effect by 6% when the character is healthy. So what's that? That's 14%. Oh, sorry, 14% is the standard, and then when the character is healthy, increased by another 6%. So you're looking at a total 20% extra DOT. Like, we have our good friends from the Luxite gang who can inflict the DOT. You also have the Vilda, so like No Will with the infection. You also have Momo who can do the infection as well, but it's not really a main part of their kit. You also have Luvata with the Scorch, Burning, Ignition, just so much DOT. Life loss is DOT as well. And back onto Kavare, so like his skills will be doing all the DOT damage here. We can see Ignition also with the Frostbite and the dot effects and everything. So I think it's pretty solid on Kavare. It's mostly a difference between whether you want to run Devil or you want to run the Hangman's Dedication for Kavare. Depends on how many enemies there are on the field, right? To hit those Devil stacks. Nydia with her Frostbite build can really take advantage of the Hangman's Dedication or the extra DOT stacks. Our Master DOT stacker, Luffy, can also do all the DOTs and everything, also the Burning, Ignition, and the life loss in his trait. I honestly think it's still better to run Judgment because, yeah, Judgment counts as a support skill, right? So support or debuff skills plus hit life loss. A big winner for Hangman's dedication is actually Serene, because he does so much frostbite stacks on with her kit. And we have Pooch Run Run, whatever. She has so much DOT in her kit as well, and definitely really wants to have the Hangman's dedication. I think Hangman's dedication is probably the best Series 3 tarot that we have. Like, the other ones are kind of whatever. We'll move on to the next one. So next one is Guide of the Stars. Shield value granted by increases shield value granted by 8%. And then when you have the special stat, bumps it to 16% and increases the shield value received by the character by 8%. So when they get the shield, they also get 8% more. The calculations for this is a bit confusing, but basically, if you're giving someone else shield, it'll be increased by 16%. When you're giving yourself shield, it'll be 16% times another 8%. This also stacks with Farland's trinket, Wild Spice Vial, so grants a shield. Shield value is increased by 15% there. Like the main unit that Guide of Stars is good on is Farland. She grants so much shield. So another thing to keep in mind with the shield, right, is that the value of this shield is capped by your maximum HP. So 100% shield means 100% of your HP as a shield. So if Farland's HP in battle is 7.2k, then having 100% shield is 7.2k of shield, whether it is magic or physical. So it does extend the shield value. So maybe it's like a 50% shield and then it gets bumped to like 60, 70%, but it is capped at that 100%. And since it is a defensive tower, you basically only really bring it for defensive purposes. Like if you're running Ice Maid armor on Simona, for example, getting the extra shield value out of that. Like all the Union units have the Knight's Glory, which do gain physical shield. Well, like a lot of them do. There's also Karis with her magic shield if you want to play support for some reason. I think the main value with this Guide of the Stars is if you're going to play defensive and you want your units to survive, you only really have so many different towers you can play with. Like there's Fools for the extra HP, Hermit for the defense reduction, Hierophant's Laws for the AoE reduction there. Temperance also gives you a bit of a shield, maybe Devil for getting some defense there. And then you have Guide of the Stars. And what makes Guide of the Stars different compared to, say, Hermit is Hermit only works on that specific unit. Whereas if I'm using Guide of the Stars, this makes my shield from like Farland become fatter. So whoever she is shielding, whoever she's casting the shield on, can survive and they don't have to use a defensive tower. Like if I am running like DPS Marcel, but she is dying to some boss attack, and the only way I can survive is, give her a hermit, then maybe what I can do is I can try and give Farland the Guide of Stars. So her shield becomes bigger and then Marcel has enough to survive. And the last tower we have is the Lover's Intimacy. Reducing piercing damage taken by 8% at the start of the turn dispels 1 dot from the character. And then this essentially doubles with the special skill, right? So piercing damage is reduced by 18%, and then at the start of turn, spells 2 DOT from the character. This is more niche, right? This is only when you're getting a lot of piercing damage on the field, and also like getting dot removal. So this is definitely something you'll only really bring to some specific stages for survivability. Most of the time, you wouldn't really be running this at all. So this is also pretty niche, but it is good to have, right? Definitely good to have a few of these, just in case you're going into those heavy piercing or DOT stages. So I feel like for these season 3 taros, you don't really need to farm too many of them. Um, like maybe a whole team's worth of Lava's Intimacy, uh, maybe 2 or 3 Guide with the Stars, Hangman's Dedication. Maybe you do want to run like a DPS one, get a handful of those. 3 maybe? Murmur Death, maybe like 1 or 2. And that's pretty much it. Like the key to farm is still the series 2. Like we can finally farm better fools. I mean, I'm struggling to get a good fools down with like percentage HP or percentage attack, that sort of thing. Hierophant's Law is really good for single target as well, and getting the AoE damage decrease, and Sorcerer Strength I feel like is just whatever. Series 2 is definitely really good to farm there. Anyway, that is the brief overview of the different Season 3 taros. Like, I just think it's just very niche, but it is just nice to have. It's good to have those options when you need them, and I think that's it, right? We're just building options. Anyway, thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.